Good morning, friends. Welcome back to Astrology Today and Tarot. My name is Mel Rose. This is the Tarot portion and the second half of my daily astrology vlog, which you can check out on my other channel, Astrology Today with Mel Rose. Over there, you'll find the description of the day's astrology as I have spelled it out here. Here, I'll discuss the tarot card that sits on the side of the page, and then I'll play another card that, in the context of the day's astrology, it may just give us something more to think about. So, let's get into it. The card that currently sits on the side of the page is the Eight of Cups, and it is here because it corresponds in astrology with the first 10 days or the first decan of the sun's transit here in the land of Pisces. Pisces is a water sign. Cups in tarot are water element symbolism, and water element symbolism is all about how things feel to us, our emotional life, our intuitive life, and really the life of our bodies too. So often when you have an experience, there's an emotional response to that experience. With an emotional response arises a feeling in the body, like a physical sensation. And then also certain questions or certain knowing will come along with that. That's your intuitive response to the experience as well. And so we come to the Eight of Cups, and we see a person, we see sort of a muted, sort of darkened scene here, right? We see a person sort of walking away from this stack of cups. And I noticed that sort of disappointed or sad looking face on the on the face of the moon. And you've got two discs there, so it's almost like the moon is eclipsing the sun, right? Like where we thought the sun was going to shine, things are dimmer than we thought they would be. So the Eight of Cups represents a point in time where we've made an emotional investment. Those cups represent sort of like, good faith, goodwill, joy, enthusiasm, love that you poured out for a certain situation, a person, place, a thing, event, that kind of thing. And, with the Eight of Cups, what we get is this chance to take action and move toward regeneration. So we notice that we've made this investment of ourselves, and we feel disappointed. Like there's no reciprocity there. We're not getting back from it what we thought we would. So on reflection about it, we decide to leave the situation behind. And we recognize that it's just a loss. You can't get back the investment that you gave. And we're not going to try to. We're not even going to sit around to even think about or mourn the loss. We're really just going to go ahead and, feeling that loss, move on to other things that hopefully will be more satisfactory. And, I love this idea that the sun was supposed to be shining, but then this sort of moon of disappointment, these feelings of disappointment, sort of eclipsed the glow of the situation for us and allowed us to see how unsatisfactory these 8 cups that we've given, how unsatisfactory the sort of compensation has been for what we've given into the situation. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and turn this card over. We got the Knight of Water. I think we've gotten that from this deck recently, actually. So the Knight of Water sort of corresponds in a regular tarot deck to the Knight of Cups. And here we see, an image of this sort of mer person playing some music under the light of what looks like the full moon to me. They're partially in the water. There are beautiful swans swimming and flying around them, okay? So the knight... The knight is a person who is very in touch with their emotions, with how they feel. And they can also sort of intuitively, empathically feel what's going on around them as well. They feel, the birds in the water. They feel the birds in the air. They feel the moon sinking into the water there. They feel what's in the water, and they also, they express that. In this case, in a sort of song, right? They're expressing their caring, they're expressing their emotional connectedness, and sort of the depth of feeling that they possess. So where do we see this on the page? The Knight of Water. Well, I keep coming back to the fact that the Sun and Neptune are both in Pisces at this time. Now, Neptune is an outer planet. It's one of our more management team planets. It's not a personal planet. It's not directly about us. Neptune's transits affect a lot of people at one time. But you know, Neptune in Pisces is right at home. It's the modern ruler of Pisces, and it's very much about the way that water connects us to our feelings, and the way that water connects us to the other things that are connected to the water, right? So it's that feeling of connectedness. It's that feeling of sort of we are all one, all things being the same, all things sort of, we are all sort of in this boat together, right? And you know, the sun in Neptune, the sun in Pisces, the same time that Neptune is in Pisces, Neptune in Pisces just strengthens that Piscean vibe of connectedness, of you know, emotional empathy, of compassion for not just ourselves but for other people and for the condition of life in general. And then the sun in Pisces is here to, you know, to ask us to express how that feels, right? Sun in Pisces is our outward expression in the world, sort of like who we are and how we show up, especially, you know, in the workspace, in the social space, in the civic space, outside our front doors, among the people out in the world, how we express ourselves. And at this point where, you know, sun in Pisces, we're given this period of time to really express how it feels to be us as people who are compassionate and connected and aware of the, you know, the general state of life and the general state of humanity. Okay, so we're feeling that pain that the general state of life is feeling. We're feeling, you know, also the moments of uplift. We're feeling the good parts and the bad parts. It's empathy. So we sort of, you know, it's hard to separate sort of what is mine in terms of emotion from what is everybody else's in terms of emotion. And that's a real natural state to be in at this time. And it gives us this reason to sort of pause and reflect and think about how it feels and express how it feels. And, you know, it's sort of a mode of rest as well. It's an opportunity to play. You see this person playing an instrument, right? It's an opportunity to play and relax and just sort of absorb the emotional atmosphere and the intuitive environment and the creative environment as it touches us and as it reaches everybody. Okay, so taken together, so, you know, I'm just going to say, if you find yourself in this sort of compassionate zone where, you know, you're struggling to know the difference between what you feel and what the people around you feel, that would be really normal at this time, okay? If you have a faith practice, turn to your faith practice. If you have a prayer practice or a spell and ritual practice, now is a great time to be engaging in spell and ritual practice while we're feeling our connection to life in general and to humanity in general. And now is a good time to find a creative way to express that empathy, that compassion, and just the sort of thoughts and feelings that arise with it. You know, it can be really hard to detach our own emotional state from the state of others at this time. So, you know, it's okay to sort of, how would they say it in Arkansas, to sort of waller in it, right? It's okay to just sort of sit back and feel it and express it at this time. And I'm going to take this together with the Eight of Cups here. And, you know, the moon plays a big part in both of these pictures, right? Here we see that the moon has eclipsed the sun. It's taken the glow out of everything. It's made everything sort of dim and unsatisfying. It's not as beautiful as we would like it to be, right? And those are feelings that sort of color the way that we look at the world. And in this case too, we've got the moon shining on the water, and this is an emotional and intuitive state that colors the way that we look at the world, right? Based on, you know, if the moon is rising, if the full moon is rising right now, that means that the sun is setting, you know, as it's written in this card, or if the full moon is setting, then the sun is rising. So, you know, we're at that sort of twilight both pictures, I see us being in this sort of shade of twilight that is not full sun or full moon. And it can, again, be hard to discern, to make distinctions between things, to, you know, the lines between what we can see sort of blur, and we have to sort of feel our way in this state of being. Okay, so it's okay if you find yourself in this state of being where you've given of yourself generously in an emotional way, and you have not found dissatisfaction, and it has colored the way, it's sort of dimmed the way you can see and discern things, and you're ready to walk away from it and move on to bigger and better things. You know, part of healing from that sense of disappointment that comes in, part of moving on from that sense of disappointment that comes in, is to express how it feels, right? Find a creative way, you know, to give those feelings voice, sing it out, to play it on an instrument, or, you know, to write a poem about it, or just write it in your journal, or just find a way to speak it, in a way that brings the message across, like, this is why this was disappointing, and this is why my feeling of connectedness to everybody and everything else is having me feel this disappointed way, where I feel like I need to move on. You know, there's a bittersweetness here. There's a sadness about having to leave something behind that you've invested in, and there's hope as well that comes with it. You know, when we talk about, you know, the things that have disappointed us and our need to move on, we move on because we yet have hope that there will be some sort of, you know, we yet have hope that there will be some sort of joy to come from our capacity to be emotionally invested. So, you know, this is part of the grieving process, being able to communicate, being able to express the sadness, to being able to express the, you know, the general feeling of malaise, of lack of discernment, of not being able to tell my feelings from somebody else's. You know, finding a way to express it is going to be very helpful. If you have, you know, a creative art that you're engaged in, then, you know, that makes it really easy for you, right? You know that if you're a painter, you can go to the canvas and you can say, my emotions feel like this color, and my emotions feel like this figure here and this figure here, you know, or if you're a writer, you know, you can find a way to express that. Likewise, if you are a singer or a musician or some other kind of artist, you know, and for those of us who don't have a specific creative art that we apply, it's still going to be important to find a way to express through, you know, to express ourselves regarding the emotion of disappointment and hope, right? The sort of push and pull of disappointment and hope. It reminds me of the tides of the water as well. So, you know, I don't have advice for you as to how to express that, but find a way to express it, even if it just means looking in the mirror and saying it out loud, like, this happened and this is how I feel about it, and this is why I'm moving on, and my hopes for the future are this, okay? All right, I think that's all I have to say about it today, friends. Thank you so much for joining me. I truly appreciate your presence here. My name is Mel Rose, and I'll see you all back here tomorrow for more Astrology Today and Tarot.